Hello, everyone, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. I'm your stand-in host, Jacob Bernstein, and today I am joined by two of the regulars on the pod. Firstly, it is someone who has the nichest football collection in the world. It's Tom Maher. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. And secondly, we are joined by someone who also has a big football collection, but they've decided to go bold and wear an Arsenal shirt today. Izzy, how are you doing?
That is because my big football collection is probably just Arsenal shirts. But it's a new shirt. I got it on the Fowdy sale, shout out. So I've got my Caitlin Ford shirt on because I'll always be repping Caitlin, no matter win or lose for the Arsenal.
Whether she tracks her runners or not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, speaking of, today we will be decoding game week 5. So to give you a roundup of the weekend's fixtures, it was stalemate at the Progress with Unity Stadium as Man United and Chelsea drew 1-1. Man City had a Bene weekend as they scored late to beat Arsenal. What a hit, Hansen, what a hit, as Villa overcame West Ham in the Battle of the Claret and Blue. It was Sunday Blues as Leicester and Everton's draw meant Everton are winless in 4 and Leicester are winless in 3. Holy moly, Tottenham are third in the league as Tambo's goal seals the win. And Gareth Taylor, what is going on as Liverpool are now winless in 4 after London City Lionesses win 1-0. So let's start with the game on Friday night, which was between Man United and Chelsea. Chelsea went 1-0 up through Vika Kaptein. It was a wonderful assist from Caterina Macario with a back heel, which put Chelsea 1-0 up. United equalised and it was 1-1. Anna Sandberg with a wonderful strike, left-footed half volley into the corner, giving Hannah Hampton no chance with a goal worth 0.06 xG. And neither team could get the win. There were chances for both teams. But it was Chelsea who had 2.9 xG to United's 1.0, so Chelsea might feel quite hard done by. Izzy, I'll come to you first. My question to you is on Chelsea and more specifically on Vika Kaptein. So my question is, what have you made of her so far this season? She had 8 starts last season, but so far this season, she started every game for Chelsea and got 2 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those stats from this season just speak for themselves. She's obviously incredibly talented player. And I think we all kind of forget as well how young she is. Like, she's still really, really young. And so obviously when she joined Chelsea, she had a lot of competition for her position, obviously. And she's kind of playing under, I guess Sonia's probably still feeling things out. Obviously, she wants to get the Champions League spot. And so she's structuring her whole season around kind of making sure there's this rotation in her team that she can kind of successfully manage those squads on different levels. And I just think, yeah, Vika's really grown into it. I suspect as well having the Euros in the summer really helped for her to kind of develop over the summer. And that's maybe why we've seen it kind of step up a notch into this season. But I wouldn't be surprised if she's sort of someone Sonia identified at the end of last season and kind of said, look, I really want to see you step up and do your thing. And that's exactly what she's done. But yeah, I think she was shortlisted for the Young Player of the Year award, the Ballon d'Or, wasn't she? So clearly this is why. So it's kind of not really a surprise, but yeah, it's nice to see her sort of getting her flowers.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially with Bombast or Bingo, it's nice to see Kaptein kind of start all 5 games this season. So yeah, Tom, I'll come to you next. A quick question on United. It's been quite a good start for United this season. My question to you is, do you think that United can compete with Chelsea? Aside from Chelsea, they are the only unbeaten side in the league and have held Arsenal and Chelsea to draws so far this season. But we kind of spoke on the pod, I think it was last week, about United's squad depth or lack thereof. So yeah, do you think they can compete with Chelsea at the top?
Yeah, I think over 90 minutes, as they showed on Friday night, yes. Over 22 games remains to be seen. I would say no. I don't think that they can. I don't But that's not to say that United aren't a good team. They're a very good team. I just don't think anybody can at the moment. Unless you want to make the case for Tottenham at the moment, Jacob. But I think that United were really ambitious in this game, and they went for it. It seemed like they were really going for the win, and we've seen United sides against Chelsea maybe not being so front-footed in their approach, and they really deserved to get the equaliser as well. A brilliant goal from Anna Sandberg, who was fantastic in this match. 6 tackles more than anyone else. It's just an excellent goal, isn't it? Perfect technique from that kind of position, and you really have to get the technique so spot on to find the back of the net there, because the amount of times you see a player striking it from that area and it just doesn't go anywhere near the back of the net. So fantastic from Anna Sandberg, and obviously she's had a really tough time recently and dedicated that goal to her mum who passed away. So that was a really lovely and touching moment. But yeah, Chelsea fought back, and I think just one of the big stats from this game, obviously it was Sonia Van Pastel's 100th league game in charge of club management. So with Lyon and with Chelsea, her 90th league win. I mean, who can compete with that, really? I think it's going to be very tough. But yeah, I was impressed with United. I think Chelsea probably were the better team on the balance of play, and obviously that's kind of wrought out in the XG as well. But still, I don't think that United didn't deserve a point, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but I think that they were good value for it in the end. Their bravery and determination earned them that point. And I think even Van Pastor afterwards said kind of that the draw was probably a fair result on the balance of play. So, yeah, I think they can have a really good season, but you have to think back to that squad depth, because they're only one injury away from, I think, it all falling apart. Any of those in the centre of midfield, one of those Miyazawa, Toon, any of those players get injured, Zigotti Olma, and I think United are in big trouble, but fingers crossed that doesn't happen. And, as far as squad depth is concerned, it was also really lovely to see Hannah Blundell back in the squad after maternity leave. So congratulations to her on her new arrival. And then, it's just fantastic to see. And, it should be normal. It shouldn't be inspiring for this to happen, but I do think it's really cool and really inspiring. For somebody to come back and be an elite sports person after giving birth. So excited to see what she can add, because she's been such an important player for Manchester United under Mark Skinner, and their best moments have come when she's been in the team. And I think it's interesting, because I think right now, and this might be a bit of a hot take, but I think this is the best Man United team the WSL has ever seen.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. There are a couple of things that you said that I really like that Bon Pastor stat. I mean, usually when you kind of see managers' win percentages, they're usually in like the 50s and 60s. So for Bon Pastor's, well, across Chelsea and Lyon's, to be that high is obviously very impressive. And yeah, from United's point of view, they struggled last season against Chelsea and Arsenal. I think they only picked up 1 point in 4 games against Chelsea and Arsenal. So to have already got those 2 points, I think they're very hard fought points, and to remain unbeaten so far this season, I think is very impressive. But yeah, let's go on to the next game. Whilst it was stalemate and we couldn't find a winner in the first game on the weekend between United and Chelsea, the second game on the weekend did find a winner. It was City 3, Arsenal 2, in a thriller not too dissimilar from the City Arsenal game we saw last season that was also a thriller. I think it was 4-3. City took the lead 3 times in the game. Bunny Shaw and Kirsten Kasparai's goals were equalised by Caldente and Kelly, and then it was Imam Bene, who came off the bench to secure all 3 points for City. The possession was relatively equal in the game, 47% for City to 53% for Arsenal. And again, the shots were quite similar, 18 shots to City and 16 shots to Arsenal. I think we have to speak on Bunny Shaw because Bunny Shaw has had such a plethora of chances and now they're paying off. She had 7 shots in the game against Arsenal. No one else got more. The most apart from Shaw was 3. Shaw's actually had the most shots in the league with 25, which is 8 more than any other player. And she's now the joint top scorer with 4 goals alongside Vignola, Mallard and Aggie Beaver-Jones. And Shaw's accumulated the most XG. She's just like a chance machine. I think the XG was relatively similar, 2.28 to City to 1.78 to Arsenal. Tom, I'll come to you first on City. City have now won 4 on the bounce after their opening day defeat. They've also scored the most goals in the league and they've had 9 different goal scorers. What have you made of their start to the season as well as this victory against Arsenal?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good start to the season for Andre Jurglitz, especially, a new manager coming into the league and under taking over this Manchester City side. It's obviously got a huge amount of talent in it, but to win 4 out of 5, and especially because probably Chelsea away is your hardest game of the season, is really impressive. And yeah, I like that you pointed out Bunny Shaw. I wanted to add a few things to what you just said. I thought she was the player of the match in this win against Arsenal. She won 12 of her 15 duels on the day, and no other player on the pitch won more than 5 duels. So she won double and then some of her duels, which is absolutely incredible. 8 out of 9 aerial duels won as well. That's just domination, really. And she's just a fantastic centre forward. I think we get like a image of Bunny Shaw as this just out and out goal scorer because she has been that. But she's so good at her hold up play, so good at giving you a focal point up the pitch. And, that was one of the things that I really liked about this game for her, especially with the final goal, the winner. It's her getting in and about there, causing issues, making things really difficult for the Arsenal defence, and, to help set up Imam Bene for the win. And, I think Shaw's not still back to the 100% Bunny Shaw that we know and love because, she missed a couple of chances in this game that maybe she could have done better with. And, when she does get back to that level, it's going to be frightening because she was still the best player on the pitch, I thought. And I think in terms of how they can keep on pushing to the top, I think they need to lean into those players like Bunny Shaw, like Viviana Miedemar, like Yui Hasegawa, those players that have got them so far in the past and are world-class players and some of the best in this league. And I think they've got a really nice mix now of those players who have proven incredibly solid and young players on electric form. You've got Kasparai, who's doing fantastic, really playing brilliant football. You've got Laura Blinkill-De Bruin, who is I think she was City's Player of the Month this month as well. That's so impressive for a player who wasn't really getting a look in last season. And, this is what I was hoping would kind of happen under Andre Jurglitz, because he loves to develop young players and he's so good at it. And we've seen with that Imam Bene, all these players really benefiting from his tutelage. But yeah, maybe as well, if they want to really be pushing the top, their defence needs to improve because, as Jade Rose still doesn't really, I still think she'll come good, but doesn't really look comfortable at this level right now. There's some things to improve. And I think Gracie Pryor as well is probably similar. I think Gracie Pryor made a mistake leading to London City Lionesses' goal last week. And then Jade Rose I don't think it led to a goal, or maybe that was the Blackstenius chance, I think. I can't remember exactly. But that's another thing that they need to work on, I think, a little bit. But a lot to be excited about and a lot to be optimistic about if you're a Manchester City fan, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was interesting that you spoke about kind of that defensive aspect, because it was something that I was going to mention as well. Like, I think maybe that will be the slight cause for concern for City, just because in their opening 5 games they haven't kept a clean sheet. They have kept goals against to a minimum, but still conceding 1 or 2 might not actually matter if you're scoring 3, 4, or 5 per game, to be honest. Izzy, I'll come to you next. I have to ask about Arsenal. It's been a disappointing few games. There was the draw against Man United, which at the end of the day wasn't a bad result, but then 2 probably disappointing results in a row, with the draw to Villa and now the loss to City. With 2 points in Arsenal's last 3 games, being in 5th and now 5 points behind first. I'm not going to speak about like is a title challenge over. I guess my question is just how are you feeling about Arsenal at the moment?
Yeah, I think yeah, it has been disappointing few games, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Specifically on the City game, I don't think we played badly, and there was a few spells where Arsenal looked really dominant, and actually sort of the pendulum definitely shifted throughout the game. Obviously, clearly, as the score reflected, City were able to make the most of that. And then I think absolutely they were the better team. But I think Rene maybe is struggling still a bit with the squad as a whole, just because it is, with squad depth comes choices, and picking a starting 11 from, a team of very talented people, some of whom have played together for a long time, some of whom haven't. Um, Obviously, she chose to start Ruben Moy over Katie Reed. So that sort of added a different dynamic to the defence. And then I just felt bringing on the likes of Frida Mornham at 80 minutes was just far too late. When she came on the pitch, you could see things got a bit more dynamic. She's obviously scored a few goals already this season. So I think there's an element of, trying to figure out who's playing best and against which teams. But I also think it is that broader issue that everyone's speaking about, which is that Arsenal can't grit out a game. And I think that's because they're very much a momentum team, and you see, people don't call them second half Arsenal. I can never say it, second half Arsenal, for no reason. They sort of play off momentum, which is why games, I think, against like City, it's always 3-2 or 4-3, because they're very much sort of reactive. But they can't really handle situations like we saw with Villa, where they go 1-0 up early and then they just have to, grit it out. And I think if they really want to take the league title, they're gonna have to learn how to play some boring football, like, unfortunately, because I think actually they've got to the point where they kind of are a bit more consistent in the quality of football they're playing, but maybe not the management of the game. And so, yeah, I think it has been a disappointing few weeks, and Arsenal obviously have Brighton coming up, and I don't think that will be an easy game. I know traditionally it's been a good fixture for them, especially at home, but given where they're at now and where Brighton are at, I wouldn't be surprised if that threw up a few curveballs. So I do think the next few weeks are going to be kind of critical for them, because they need to get their mojo back. Otherwise, the title race really will be over.
Yeah, I think what you said about like squad rotation is interesting, because that's something that Chelsea get right quite often. And when Bompastor can make change, because they have such a big squad, when she can make changes and they still are able to put on performances that are consistent. Whereas maybe in the last couple of games, like seeing Frida Arnhem on the bench and coming on late, who's usually someone that will start. But I mean, Arsenal I spoke about it on the pod a few weeks ago. Arsenal got such strength and depth in those winger positions, and to bring on Chloe Kelly and Beth Mead, as well as having Olivia Smith and Caitlin Ford start, it shows strength and depth, and it's almost just finding the best combination for the best game. Although it might not have worked out in the end, I do want to mention Chloe Kelly, because she obviously scored coming off the bench, and then had a bit of a raucous with the City fans with that badge tap, and I'm so for it. I think I think it just adds a bit of like grit to the game. What do you guys think, Izzy? What do you think?
I honestly, I think she actually should have started just on the basis of raucous, and I mean that in the most genuinely like serious way. I know that she's sort of the impact player that comes on and scores goals, but actually in this particular game, I think the moment she came on, she was just annoying everyone on the pitch, and I think that's exactly what they needed from the start. So personally, I would have actually started her. But when she did do that badge tap, I absolutely screamed because it had escaped me actually. Like I was quite tired watching it on Saturday morning and I just kind of forgot the whole history. It feels like such a long time ago. And when she did that, I just thought, yes, like this is actually just like what I needed. You know, Arsenal have had a dull few weeks and having that, like I just think it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And obviously you see after the game and she goes and sees her old ex teammates and, you know, there's so much love there. So it's just a bit of fun, but it's absolutely, I think, what Arsenal needed to inject a bit of chaos.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the rest of the games, which all took place on Sunday at the very precise kickoff time of 11:55 a.m. There were 4 games. Let's start with Spurs v Brighton. Spurs beat Brighton 1-0. It was a tightly contested game. Brighton had a penalty shout after, I think it was 3 minutes. Toka Koga slipped in the box and she almost got up, like tried to like fall over, like tried to like get to the ball, and then she almost like was on the ground, and whoever the Brighton player was like fell over Koga. It probably was a penalty, to be honest. I think Spurs probably got away with it, but I think Spurs dominated most of the first half and were probably rewarded with a goal. It was really nicely worked. Olivia Holt played a lovely ball to Jess Naz, and Naz's cross was inch perfect to Katinka Thunberg to score her 3rd goal of the season. I thought Brighton put quite a lot of pressure on it, especially in the middle third of the game, kind of towards the back end of the first half and the beginning of the second half, but Spurs held on for a big 3 points, which means that they sit 3rd in the table with 4 wins out of 5. Tom, I'll come to you. Can Spurs keep this up?
Well, yeah, I mean, fantastic win first and foremost, you know, against Brighton, who are a team that were the best of the rest last year. That's what Tottenham clearly have ambitions to be at the very least this year. So, yeah, I think they can certainly keep up. I think the fixtures are turning a little bit, but you know, I think it's Chelsea this weekend, isn't it? So I think I'm going to say they can't keep up this kind of winning every week, which is, you know, obviously very fun for Spurs fans and has been, is well deserved after those last final months of last season, I must say. I think that I think they've taken a lot of pressure off themselves with these points and wins, you know. But yeah, I was making this point on the Halfway Line podcast, another podcast that I do, about Liverpool and Spurs, how Liverpool have a really difficult set of fixtures coming up in a similar way to the way that Tottenham do. But the huge difference is a 12-point difference. You know, you've got Tottenham who've taken all the pressure off those big games by winning these matches. Is going to help them go into these games with a little bit more of a free hit, whereas Liverpool have all this pressure on them for these big games, and you know they need to get points out of these games. And Tottenham, as much as they're as much as they can get points from these games, is not an absolute necessity for what they want from their season, I think. So yeah, I think Tottenham are in a really good place, and Martin Ho's done a fantastic job. And I just wanted to quickly mention Jess Naz because I thought she was fantastic in this game, and she's really playing with that kind of confidence that we all so enjoyed from her a couple of seasons ago, and yeah, it's brilliant to see her playing to her fullest potential, it seems, and yeah, just a fantastic cross for the goal as well. Like, just, I mean, Tamberg even need to break her stride putting it into the back of the net. She basically just walked onto the ball and put it in the back of the net. So fantastic to see her doing so well. But yeah, I would say that Tottenham did have a slice of luck in this game, but it's probably about time you got some, Jacob?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, it definitely takes the pressure off on those bigger games. I think maybe we saw it when we played City that there's still evidently a gap between where we are. I mean, we're very early on in Martin Ho's reign, but where we are in comparison to those top four teams. But if you can get the wins against the lower sides, that will get you very far in the season. So yeah, big win for Spurs. Let's move on to another game that happened on Sunday at 11:55 between West Ham and Aston Villa. Aston Villa got their first win of the season thanks to two glorious goals. The first one was a Kirsty Hansen screamer from a short corner, and the second one was a Lynn Vilms screamer as well from a direct free kick. The XG was relatively even, 1.1 for West Ham to 1.2 for Villa, which just reflects the fact that Villa's two goals were of quality. From West Ham's point of view, it looks very worrying. They've lost 5 games out of 5. They've conceded the most goals in the league with 16 and have only scored 2. Izzy, what are your thoughts on West Ham? And we saw so much encouragement from West Ham in the second half of last season. What's gone wrong and where can they improve?
I actually don't know. I genuinely don't know, and that is what I think is the most worrying. Obviously, they haven't had huge change over the summer in terms of sort of staff or players. And if anything, I'd say they've added some pretty good players to the ranks. I mean, Fionn Morgan and Layla Wonder as well. She was fantastic in it for the Swiss national team over the summer. So I was really excited going into this season. Obviously, their defence has been poor, but we know with West Ham, they've kind of often tried to make up for that by scoring a lot, and that's something they still can't seem to do, despite having the talent that they have. So yeah, I don't actually know what the problem is, other than the fact that they can't defend and they can't score, to be honest, which are generally the requirements to be decent at football. But when I watch them play, I don't see a team that's like failing or there's like a lack of energy or effort. I see a team that wants to play a really nice style of football, and they have their individual moments, and they have members of that team, Una Sire and Vivian Asai, who are excellent at what they do, but something's not clicking. And I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think it is really worrying if they don't sort of get at least like a draw on the board now, because
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's only going to get harder, really.
They've in their next 4, they do play London City Lionesses, Leicester, and Everton. So if there's any time to turn the tide, it will probably be in those games. Let's move on to the third of the 4 games that took place on Sunday, and that is London City Lionesses 1, Liverpool 0. Again, Liverpool, as similarly to West Ham, Liverpool have now lost all their games this season. They've lost 4 from 4, and it was a bit of a disaster for Rafaela Bografe, who made a couple of mistakes. There was one where I think she miscontrolled it. Izzy Goodwin kind of stole the ball off Bografe and had a shot off the post, and then the win came late on for London City Lionesses. Bografe gave away a penalty, potentially contentious because I'm not sure how much contact there was with Nikita Paris, but Linari stepped up to the plate late on, and it was an absolutely cracking penalty and off the bar, very satisfying to watch. I think the stats tell an interesting story. 2.1 XG for London City Lionesses to 0.2 to Liverpool. That's 8 London City Lionesses shots to 3 from Liverpool, and Liverpool had no shots in the second half. Tom, I'll come to you on this one. London City Lionesses have now won 2 games this season, and they've won both of their games against non-top 4 sides, whereas the rest of the games they've played have been against top 4 sides. Are we starting to see a side that could compete and be in the conversation for best of the rest?
I think they've done really well to get 2 wins on the board. I don't think that these wins would necessarily say that they're in that conversation. I think that Liverpool at the moment are by some distance the worst team in the league, in my opinion. And that Everton result was obviously great, but there was I don't want to take too much away from them. I don't think that right now, I'm not ready to put them in that conversation just yet. But I think that you can definitely see the signs that things are coming together. I thought Yana Fernandez had her best game for London City yet in this one. She was left out the starting 11 against Manchester City, and she showed why she should have kept her place, bombing down the wing whenever she could, whipping dangerous balls into the box. She won 7 of her 8 duels in the first half. She was really, really good. And I think there's just things were clicking quite nicely for them. I thought Saki Kumagai was also really good. She was kind of dropping in whenever either of the centre-backs came forward. And we saw them kind of start in a back 5 at the start of the season, but they've gone to a back 4 now with Yana Fernandez and Lucia Corrales really pushing forward on either wing from left back and right back. And that really worked in the second half against Liverpool. It didn't work so well in the first because Liverpool were pressing so high. But Liverpool really just dropped off in the second half, and they really started... just their line came back so deep, and it just allowed London City to create so much in the last 35 minutes or so, 30 minutes. And Liverpool didn't look like scoring at all in this game. I can't remember ever thinking they might score here. And, when you've got a situation like that and you're not bringing on Sophie Roman-Hogg until the 90th minute, when you're already a goal down, I don't see why you wouldn't do that move sooner. If you see that your team is getting pushed back because you can't press anymore, then give yourself that outlet at the other end of the pitch. Give yourself that out ball so that you can get out of trouble and help push them forward. And that just didn't happen. And I spoke to Gareth Taylor after the game, and he was kind of saying that, once you concede in the 85th, 86th minute, it's a real sucker punch and you're trying to hold on for a bit later to give yourself a chance in the game. And it's like, I get that, but you're also playing against London City Lionesses, a newly promoted side. This is Liverpool, where is this team right now? And I just think that, I don't think it's all on Gareth Taylor. I think you've got a club who aren't investing in this team and have shown that they don't really care about the team, in honesty. Not enough to properly invest it and give it the backing that it deserves. And yeah, I think I'm really concerned for them at the moment, I must say. I think looking at Liverpool's next few fixtures as well, Manchester City, Tottenham, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, it wouldn't shock me if they didn't pick up a point from that run. And that's not what I'm seeing with London City Lionesses. They've got West Ham next at home as well. They can create quite a racket there. And Jocelyn Précieux is a really good manager as well, really personable and really seemed like, I was saying he must be delighted first home win, like when I spoke to him after the game, and he was like, satisfied, satisfied. Not delighted, satisfied. And that kind of is probably what you want to be hearing from your manager after a game like that. But yeah, I didn't think it was a penalty, to be fair. Having looked back at it, I think they were quite lucky there, but they completely deserved to win this game. So maybe the luck was earned in a way.
Yeah, I think it's sad what you said about kind of almost there not being the investment in the Liverpool team, because, well, firstly, Liverpool is such a massive club with such rich history and culture. And then when you have a summer like Liverpool did, where you've sold Olivia Smith to Arsenal and Taylor Hines has gone to Arsenal, and you've had quite a lot of players leaving, you really need to follow that up with investment and cover. And it's almost disappointing because you've seen how much Liverpool have spent on the men's side, spending 400 million, however much they spend, and for that not to be reflected. Like, realistically, with Liverpool's stature, they should be competing with the top teams because they are of that kind of ilk. But yeah, let's move on to the last game of the weekend, which was between Leicester and Everton. Unfortunately, this was a 1-1 draw, which I don't think will give much to either team. I think if there could have been a winner in this game, I think it would have been really good for momentum. But it leaves both teams on 4 points. Leicester getting an extra point after their win against Liverpool, and Everton also beating Liverpool. So I think it won't do much for either team, but Vignola did give Everton the lead with a goal, and then Mouchon equalised, which was her first goal since returning from an ACL injury. In terms of chance creation, there wasn't too much in the game. 0.4 XG for Leicester to 0.3 against Everton. Izzy, I'll come to you. It's Everton's first point since the opening day, but that means they are winless in 4. How are you feeling about Everton, given that they haven't played any of last season's top 4? So there is a fixture swing coming.
Yeah, I feel a bit meh is the best way I think I could verbalise my thoughts towards Everton. Perhaps that's the high expectations I had for them going into the season. And obviously they sort of kept up those expectations with that win on the first day, but I do think they are also a team in danger. And although, it's currently West Ham and Liverpool at the bottom, with the way that the other teams around them are performing, I think it could very quickly change. And there's absolutely no reason why Everton should be winless in 4 with the strength that they have in their squad. And yeah, obviously this was a game against Leicester City, who are not sort of known for always winning their games. So yeah, I think it's a tricky one, and I think there needs to be some questions asked there about exactly what is going wrong, because obviously they had a great transfer window. We've said it a million times before, but there's so much talent in that team. And yeah, it just doesn't feel like there's too much excitement in their kind of football, which I always think is actually possibly one of the most worrying things, because actually there should be, and on paper there's no reason why there shouldn't be. So I think they really need to step up particularly when it comes to the sort of big matches against the top 4, if only to just show what they're kind of made of, basically. I should add, please don't do that against Arsenal. The other ones, that's fine.
Yeah. Also, I was going to add that Everton cannot. Well, they've had some bad results in a row, but they cannot rely on Vignola's overperformance, because Vignola's scored 4 out of 6 of Everton's goals, and I'm just looking at the XG against Liverpool. Her goals were 0.13 XG, 0.05, and 0.07. And the goal against Leicester was 0.05 XG. So Vignola's very much overperforming, and Everton are very much underperforming. But anyway, let's move on to aerial fantasy. It was an interesting week in aerial fantasy. At the moment, first in the Decoding WSL league is RUSSOGO, who I think was first last week as well, with 317 points, 12 points clear at the top. The team got 55 this week, and one of the most notable players was Miyazawa, who was a visionary, scored 7 points. And the best game week 5 score, from what I could see, I think there were 3 teams who were joint on 72. Ali F got 72, having had Kasper and Sandberg, so big scoring defenders, XANAN FC and D Lacey Teen both also got 72, and they both had Lynn Wilms in their team, who got a goal, assist, clean sheet and probably 3 bonus, I'm guessing as well. I think it was an 18-pointer. Izzy, I'll pass over to you. What interesting insights can you give us about aerial fantasy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a bit actually about selections because, from my perspective, last season and the first season of Aerial Fantasy, it was a very, popularity contest sort of heavy selection rate. I think this season everyone's being a lot more savvy. So I find it interesting to see where there's still a few kind of disconnect between who's getting the most players selected. Generally, it's following like the trend of points, and I will say United are completely dominating like the top selections, understandably, like across the board. Chelsea don't really have a look in too much in terms of the top players selected, which is interesting. Maybe that's a bombasta bingo thing. Um, but yeah, Kat Macario is still a visionary. Um, Shemek, obviously, West Ham are not having the greatest time, but Shemek does tend to make a few saves, which obviously means she gets the extra points for sort of every 3 saves. But she's still a visionary and is selected less than 2 goalies who have never started in the WSL, which to me is insane because I'm pretty sure last season she ended on 10% or something like that. Um, this may be an Arsenal hang up, but Freya Godfrey is the 8th most selected mid in the game, and she's on 1 point. So I think it's like there's a really interesting dynamic, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this on the game week 6 preview. But I think there's definitely some good chances to kind of pick up some differential points this season, particularly because actually even Chelsea players aren't hugely selected, and I think the one of the most selected Chelsea players is Ellie Carpenter, who's done nothing, to be honest, other than the first game. So, yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting week. It showed that all the best players in aerial fantasy were sort of the Villas and the Spurs of the world, plus Vika captain, basically, again. So, yeah, I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we spoke about it on the preview pod last week and about how this was probably going to be an interesting aerial fantasy game week just because of how the games would match up. And I think especially because none of Arsenal, Chelsea, United or City kept a clean sheet, it meant that you almost had to have very specific players from those teams to get the points. And then there were quite a few clean sheets on Sunday. So if you had Spurs players or Villa or London City Lionesses, then that would have paid dividends for you. But that ends the formalities of the pod. Let's move on to a game of Know Your Stat to end the pod off. For those of you who don't know what Know Your Stat is, it's essentially a game of categories. So I'm going to give a category to Tom and Izzy, and they'll have to go back and forth naming a player that fits that category. If you get one wrong, you lose, and it's basically first 2 rounds. Izzy, I'll let you start the first round. You can have a choice of 3 different rounds. The rounds are aerial fantasy, goalkeepers, or Arsenal.
My 3 favourite things. I'm going to go goalkeepers.
Okay. So round 1 is goalkeepers. There are 27 goalkeepers who have played at least 1 minute in the WSL since the beginning of last season. Can you name them?
Since the beginning of last season. Okay. Kinga Shemek.
Kinga Shemek is a correct answer.
Hannah Hampton.
That is correct.
Daphne Van Domselaar.
Correct.
At the beginning of last season, did you say, Jacob?
Yeah, so they've either played this season or last season.
Manuela Zinsberger.
That is correct.
Courtney Brosnan.
That's a correct answer.
Fallon Tullis-Joyce.
Yeah, so correct.
Borgraffer.
Yeah, correct.
Faye Kirby.
Yeah, Faye Kirby's correct.
You stole my one. Rachel Laws.
Yeah, that's a correct answer.
Sabrina D'Angelo.
Yeah, correct.
Ellie Roebuck.
Yeah.
Elena Lette.
Yeah, Lette is correct.
Lisa Kopp.
Yeah, Lisa Kopp. That's both for Tottenham and Leicester.
Yenia Leitzig.
Yeah, Leipzig is correct.
Shimona Dozie.
Yeah, Nadozi is correct.
Sophie Bagley.
Yeah.
Tom keeps stealing all of my next answers. Okay, I'm going to hope I've got her name right, because I think I have. Megan Clark? Or have I got the surname wrong? For West Ham.
Oh.
It is incorrect. It's Megan Walsh, not Megan Clark.
Walsh! Oh, I couldn't remember. Oh. Fair enough. I was stumped anyway. I couldn't think of any more, so...
Tom, it passes to you. You need one correct answer to win.
Melina Loic.
Yes, Melina Loic is correct. And
My
Tom
visionary
takes
queen.
around. So you ended up naming 17 out of the 27, which is pretty good going. The two biggest ones that you missed off is you didn't say either of the City keepers. So Yamashita and Keating both were not named.
That's two Arsenal fans being very bitter.
Evidently.
We were getting round to them.
Were we?
But yeah, that is round one to Tom. Let's go on to round two. Tom, it's your turn to start, and you've got a choice between Aerial Fantasy or Arsenal.
I'll leave Aerial Fantasy to the decider, so I'll go Arsenal.
Okay, it's only a decider if Izzy wins this one, but
yeah, I feel like.
So the round two is Arsenal. So there have been 16 Arsenal goal scorers since the beginning of last season. Can you name them in the WSL?
Since the beginning of last season as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Russo.
Yes, correct.
Ford.
Yes, Caitlin Ford, correct.
McCabe.
Yeah.
Mornham.
Yeah, correct.
Mead.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yes, Chloe Kelly, correct.
Olivia Smith.
Yeah, that's a correct answer.
Mariona Caldente.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took that long to say Caldente, but yes, that's correct.
Kim Little.
Yeah, Kim Little, correct.
Emily Fox.
Yeah, correct answer.
Leah Williamson.
Yeah.
Who else plays for Arsenal? Rosa Kafaji.
Yes, that is correct. You could finish the board. You got 4 left. That's 2 between you.
Ooh. Stina Blackstenius.
Yes, correct answer. 3 left.
I hope this was in the WSL. Lena Hurtig?
Yeah, Lena Hurtig is correct answer. 2 left.
Lotta Woman-Moy.
Yeah, correct answer. It's one left.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. I bet Tom knows it as well. Was it Michelle Adjumang?
It was not Michelle Adjumang. That is an incorrect answer. The correct answer was Victoria Pelova.
I knew Tom would have
Which
known
means-
that anyway, so...
That was the one I had. I did have Ilestead and Kadina as well, but I would have said Pelova, I think.
Yeah, because she scored on her return, didn't she?
But it was in the... Was it against Bristol City, maybe? But...
Well done, Tom.
But yeah, that means Tom takes the round and the game. You both did very well, 15 out of 16. Tom, how are you feeling about the win?
Well, it was a very, very good battle. Very good battle. I'm feeling good. Feeling good. I'm excited to play another round. I just really enjoy it.
Well, yeah, the pressure's off a bit on this one, but Izzy, it is aerial fantasy, so
Yeah, come on, don't
maybe you
disgrace
can
me.
win this one for pride. And the category is, you actually spoke about this before, so there's a potential this could be a win for you. There are 21 players in aerial fantasy who currently have over 15% ownership. So those are the 21 most owned players currently in fantasy. Who are they? And Izzy, it's your turn to start.
Caldente.
Yes, Mariona Caldente, correct.
Alessia Russo.
Yes, Alessia Russo is number 2.
Letitia.
Yeah, May Letitia is on the list.
Hannah Hampton.
Yeah, Hannah Hampton is number 1.
Fallon Tallis-Joyce.
Yeah, Fallon Tallis-Joyce, number 9.
Ella Toon.
Yeah, Ella Toon, number 5.
Michelle Adjumang.
Yeah, Adjumang, number 3.
Aggie Beaver Jones.
Yeah, Beaver Jones, 7.
Chloe Kelly.
Yeah, Chloe Kelly a bit lower down on 12.
Bunny Shaw.
Yeah, Bunny Shaw surprisingly lower, but on 16th.
Ornella Vignola.
Yeah, Vignola is correct. She's 6th most owned, which means you've got 9 of the top 10 now.
Do we only have the top 10, or do we have? Or we have a few more than that, don't we?
Yeah. You have 9 of the top 10, and then 2 more.
Okay. Because I feel like players like, I'm going to go Beth Mead.
Beth Mead is an incorrect answer. She is 9.93% owned. So that's an incorrect answer, and Izzy takes round 3. So yeah,
I'm so glad to be publicly good at my own job. I mean that genuinely. I'm really happy about it.
I was going to say Tandberg, but would Tandberg have been right or wrong?
No, I think that's incorrect. I think I checked her ownership earlier. I think she's on 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, so I would have lost that. Well, the other one I was thinking of was Williamson, just because she's so popular. But that's probably.
I think she's still. Yeah. I was going to go Carpenter, but I can't remember if he's
Carpenter's a shout.
Oh yeah, that's the end of Know Your Stat. Tom takes the win for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. A couple of bits of housekeeping before we leave you. The FCA's go and vote for both Aerial Fantasy and friend of the pod, Emily Herbert. You can go and vote now. Also, we are giving away a copy of Football Manager. Head over to our Instagram at Decoding the WSL to get involved. Follow us, like the post, and tag your friends in the comments. Each comment is an entry. We're actually giving away another copy via YouTube on the Game Week 6 review pod, which will be out tomorrow. So make sure to watch the pod on YouTube to be in with a chance of winning. Thank you very much, both Tom and Izzy, for coming on the pod. Thank you, listener, for tuning in, and we will see you next time.